In the household, the Hagi household, old Gheorghe sleeps tonight. In the household, the Hagi household, old Gheorghe sleeps tonight. Don't wake him up, don't wake him up, don't wake up, for God's sake, don't tell him what happened to his boy. How you doing, folks? This is your Fatek post-match reaction pod coming to you in association with Jersnet. Check out Jersnet. Check out the Friday night preview pod. It's still up there on the old Jersnet YouTube channel. It was Brian and Alan, really good debate they were having. I really enjoyed that one. But also, I must tell you, check it out. If you're watching this, you're probably going to be watching this on Monday, so check it out tonight. The flagship show is tonight, Monday night. 9:30, and I know, it's usually Sunday night, isn't it? It's usually the whole point of Frankie making the Jersnet flagship show 9:30 on a Sunday night is because that's the one time Rangers won't be playing. That's one time you're guaranteed Rangers will not be in action. It's at 9:30 on a Sunday night, so all your podders are available, and all you guys have got time to listen to it. But no, not anymore, because this is the weirdest season of home games ever. We've played at two different stadiums. We've played at 6:45 on a Saturday night, 5:30 on a Saturday night. It's been paper tickets, it's been QR codes. It was 12 noon last Sunday, and it's 8 o'clock on a Sunday night tonight, which is the weirdest one yet. Everybody's all over Edmiston Drive about 10 minutes after kick-off the other night. All parts of the stadium, nobody could get in time for the game actually kicking off, because access to the stadium was so busy. And tonight I feel as if we could have probably phoned up in Douglas Park, would have sent you a chauffeur-driven minibus and brought you right up to the gates and driven you right into the stadium. I go to the parking, you have to get parked miles away. It's like a 20-minute walk from where I parked the motor for the European game at 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, which is becoming like a totally normal kick-off time. Whereas tonight I get parked basically centre circle, which really helped at the midfield. I think another clean sheet for the Rangers, but it's just been totally weird. So Jersnet, the flagship show this week, will be live on Monday night, 9:30, and it's Craig hosting, I think, Ross and AN other. So check that out, folks. It's bound to be good. I'm sponsored by Jersnet and also sponsored by the Hubba Bubba and the Macaroon Bars. The Hubba Bubba and the Macaroon Bars, and the gammon rolls. That wee bit of butter on them, but plenty of rainwater getting in there as well, just to keep it nice and moist, because that's the era that I come for. That's when I started going to the games on my Todd, or got my man to Nonco, and then can I go on my pals, and that. It was early into mid-80s, and that's why, because I'm a child of that era in Scotland, like it or not, the whole Sunday thing, I didn't realise until moments like just now how much I just still see Sunday as a day of rest. My mum was Catholic, or certainly raised Catholic. My dad, Church of Scotland. And my dad's mum was Church of Scotland, and his dad was Catholic. And so two generations of mix, what was then seen in Scotland as a mixed marriage. Two folk from like exactly the same area of the world, in exactly the same skin colour, getting married. But it was seen as a mixed marriage, and the two of them the two generations get so much hassle that although some of my family members like to go to church, my gran, who was one of the best people I've ever known in my life. She was at Church of Scotland. She would go to the Park Parish Church in Ardrossan every week. Generally, there's a really relaxed, if not totally lax, atmosphere towards religion. I was not brought up in a religious household at all. But it's still in the bones, isn't it? Sunday's a day of rest, and I just couldn't get away from it today at all. I'm in the toilets trying to hit some buckfast, and it was just turning into decaf Tetley's the moment it hit my lips. I'm trying to snort the cocaine off the top of the cistern, and that just become like a petticoat tails. But it's a shortbread. It was just totally harmless. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do. You couldn't turn it into a proper kick-off time. It was just Sunday night. I'm trying to sing the Billy Boys and just come out as onward Christian soldiers. And looking at the Jumbotron screens, and one of them's got David Suchet and Poirot, and the other one's got Country File on it. It's just, that's the Jumbotrons, and they're making this up. But you know what I mean? You get the atmosphere, you get the idea, you get the atmosphere as well. That's what the atmosphere is. It's just Sunday. You can't escape from it. I'm in the house today, and I'm trying to be like get in the game mode. Try and get the hate on. Try and get a bit, get up for it. Get that kind of uptightness, like ready to go, like a coiled spring, big fat rusty coiled spring that snapped in a few places. But try to get it on, and it just wasn't happening at all. I'm sitting there, and I was watching. I'm thinking usually Antiques Roadshow. I was going to do a whole Antiques Roadshow skit, but I am a kid, what am I? I'm some character, I'm absolutely crazy. And I had the whole thing worked out, because it's Antiques Roadshow is usually what you're watching on a Sunday as opposed to going to the Fitbit this time. It's, I was going to do the whole thing with Ibrox, because it's a 125-year-old, so it's an antique And I was going to do a kind of back and forth with somebody that's not here. Says, so how long's it been in the family? You know, and well, I've had the season ticket for 45 years. You know, and I was, how much did it cost you? Well, £600 a year kind of thing. You know, and if it was to be sort of, you can see there's been some modern additions to it. It's been done up and all that. You know, but it's definitely dating back to the turn of the 20th century, and it's worth quite a lot. And I was going to do a whole thing about the sponsorship. How it's worth like about 50 million over 10 years sponsorship deal with a bank or something like that. But I don't want to sell it because it's got great sentiment. I had this all set up that it was going to be great, and then as I was leaving, there was somebody getting an operation or something I was watching on television, and I just picked my dinner, just thrown my Sunday dinner over. So I thought, oh, flick channels quick, why not BBC One? I'm trying to kid on it was an accident. That was on Antiques Roadshow, and it was coming through Edinburgh. And there was the boy for the museum at Hampden. He's got the Scottish Cup. They were appraising the Scottish Cup, so I couldn't even. It's just messing with me. I couldn't even. It's no one new. They're actually doing Fitbit stuff on the Antiques Roadshow, talking about Andrew Watson and all that. So that was just really weird. And it's Sunday night. I'm at Ibrox, and the whole it's reminding me of my dad and all that, and all the uncles hitting the booze on a Sunday. That was hotels, and it was strange licensing laws or hours when I was a kid. 3 channels in the telly, songs of praise, all that kind of stuff. You try to avoid it all. It was absolute murder, but it's in the bones. I would hate to go back to that kind of time. I'm not trying to do it was better in my day, not at all, but it is the day of rest. And you can see behind me there, Edmiston House. It's either the biggest lock-in of all time, or Rangers couldn't get a licence for 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. It's absolutely quiet as anything round about here. The kids are gathering round about the back of the Coping. They're waiting for the players to come out to try and get into their motors to get the autographs and that. But even then, it's a total smattering because most of them have got school in the morning. So the game itself seemed to kind of play up to that. It was just totally weird, very quiet, all about a day after the Lord Mayor's show, all that kind of stuff. Basically the way you feel on a Sunday night anyway. The most in night of the year, the most in night of the week is a Sunday night. It used to be up to my 30s, 40s. I could still go out and get bevied on a Sunday night, but really these days I actually quite like to chill out on a Sunday night, because it's always nice to fall out with your wife when you're sitting. The two of you can narc at each other, because on Saturday night you could sit there in front of the telly, you didn't care what you watched, because a few drinks and a few treats in front of you and a lie in ahead of you, whereas on a Monday it's back to reality the next day. So Sunday night it's kind of, you want to watch, no, you want to watch that, you want to watch that, I don't mind if you don't seem as if you want to watch it, that kind of stuff. Missed out on all that as well. So, there was nobody there the night either. The folk that I usually sit, there's only a few of the folk that I usually sit beside her there. It was empty seats everywhere. You're expecting kind of piano music, like for a hotel lobby, a bit of Eric Satie or something in the background, and somebody come up and offer you, sorry, would you like a cocktail? Can I get you an aperitif? Something. It was just a really, really quiet, weird atmosphere. Sorry, my name's Alec Anderson. Stop your messing around. Better think of your future. Try to straighten right out, creating problems in town, or else you'll wind up in jail. Can't remember what the first verse, the second verse. The whole problem. You beat a message to union bears. A message to you be. Just carry on doing what you're doing. Just carry on doing what you're doing, boys. It's a bit hypocritical for everybody to suddenly start having a problem with the fact you let out fireworks the other night. You took it a bit far. We asked these boys to be transgressive. We asked them to be boisterous. We asked them to be noisy. We asked them to be defenders of the Rangers spirit on the streets and stuff. So to then give it, and I was worried on it. I thought I was going to get a firework to the coupon, because I am an old man, and there's folk running about me now. I think that's a bit scary. If one of them goes ski whiff, I'm getting it right in the face. But that's what happens. You can't. It reminds me of, remember we couldn't play in front of a crowd against Inter at the San Siro in the Champions League back. What was that? This is the season we actually went through. We finally progressed from a group the first time. It was Inter, Armida, Bratislava. It was like 2005, 2006 under Big Ek. So it must have been the previous season. Because Milan got to the final 2005, obviously, against Liverpool. They had the Milan derby semi-final, the Champions League at San Siro, and I can't remember if it was the Inter end or the Milan end, but they were chucking scooters off the top deck. They were chucking scooters off the top tier of the San Siro, which is quite a top tier. It's a very high up tier. And suddenly all the people who'd been selling us, Football Gazzetta Italia and the passion of the Italian game and try to sell us that semi-final as well. Oh, tune in, watch this live. It's going to be the Milan derby. The Italians are like, they take it really serious. It's a fantastic spectacle. Oh, they've taken that too far. We want them to stop at a certain point. And I think the same thing kind of applies to the Union Bears. And if the Copeland gets shot, I know folk are really angry. I think there's a genuine case for complaint when it comes to people having their season tickets moved because the Union Bears are going into that part of the stadium. But if nothing else, it tells us that the club approves of having the atmosphere and understands that they bring the atmosphere. So if they've taken it a bit far the other night and the Copeland gets shut, despite the fact the Copeland being shut has been the main problem all season for Rangers, why it's such a weird collection of kick-off times and kick-off venues. And it's only October and this season already, then it's going to be annoying. It's going to be a hard one to take, but it's just kind of par for the course right now. And the Union Bears showed tonight that they do learn because that flashed up on the screen. Did you? It was on the telly. It was on the telly, live on the telly, Premier Sports, and that. So I've recorded it on Premier Sports. And I'm sure but I could hardly see any cameras. I could see one camera in the gantry. I'm sitting behind the kind of, the gantry at the front of the main stand. I'm in the main stand in the old Archibald Leach lattice work and the gantry in there, and there's usually lots of big cameras in there if it's live television. I can only see one camera. I thought that's just a sports scene camera, I bet you, recording the highlights. But then I saw Emma Dodds at half time up the far end talking to two blokes on the park. But it was just weird because they've on was it TNT the other night, the gantry they've got that Emma Dodds was stood on with Derek McInnes and Alan McCoist at the end of the game. It's pretty much right next to me where I sat in the main stand, and it was gone all together and I could hardly see any camera. It turned out it was on Premier Sports, but they must have accidentally flashed a bit of footage for Premier Sports up onto the big screens here. Just get rid of country file for a wee while, and they showed you Steve Clarke, a close-up of Steve Clarke sitting in the directors. I mean, Steve Clarke coming to watch players who can play for Scotland, the Scotland manager coming to Ibrox. It is an honour. But he's not liked for some reason by the Union Bears, and they all started singing. The Union Bears started singing, Steve Clarke, you're a wanker, you're a wanker. And I thought, well done, because we're all wankers, everybody's wankers. Well done, boys, you've totally learned, because the last time Steve Clarke was getting it for the Union Bears was that horrible replayed Scottish Cup game against Kilmarnock. We won 5-0, that was lovely, but just a horrible kind of sectarian epithet that they were throwing at him, and you could the rest of the stadium weren't saying anything. They weren't in any way bothered about Steve Clarke. I mean, knew what was coming as that song started. It was a bit cringe, but they're young guys, and it's hard to draw a line sometimes, and when their boisterousness and the kind of hardcore transgressions when that actually ends. So they learned, they've turned sectarian abuse into just straightforward, you're a wanker, you're a tosser, that kind of stuff. And I think they will learn from the backlash they've been getting about the fireworks stuff. On a night like tonight, when everybody is in total Sunday night mode, they were needed. I'm talking to you after Rangers beat St Johnstone by 2-0 in the SPFL Premiership in this really weird kick-off time. Rangers 2, St Johnstone 0, I mean, their second win by 2-0 against St Johnstone at home, at our second home stadium under St Johnstone's second manager, and St Johnstone again wearing that second strip. Is it brown? Is it maroon? I think it's kind of weird maroon, but the white stripe makes it look a bit browny as well. Really strange. But the Browns, of course, have sold St Johnstone. They no longer own them, and tonight was all about a bounce back from us, for us from that 4-1 loss to Leon. I think a lot of the reaction to that was a bit OTT, but that's us back on the clean sheet straight away. Rangers ending the game with 10 men, but still running out 2-0 winners. The changes to the team at the start of the game, the night, there's only two changes. Ross McCausland, strictly speaking, probably coming in for Tom Lawrence, who it was a hamstring injury he got the other night. I don't know how long he's out for. I need to find out about that. I hope it's not too long. Just typical that the man who's been scoring the goals so recently scored the only goal, both winners of our last two league games, and our only goal at home in Europe this season. That's him straight out. That's just the story. I think the thing that was supposed to be stopping happening this season. We weren't going to have these injuries anymore, but it happened to Tom Lawrence again. The night he gets punished for scoring the goal. And So Ross McCausland's kind of strictly speaking coming in for Lawrence, and we had Nico Raskin, who was probably man of the match, I think, by the end up, although I would give it to Tav through sheer bias, and it was given to Vatslav Cerny because he scored the 2 goals by the sponsors. But Nico Raskin comes in for Conor Barron on the bench tonight, not starting the game, but Nico Raskin comes in to start in his place. The rest of the team exactly the same, but of course what that means is Bajrami, Nadim Bajrami, our Albanian wunderkind, he finally moves into 10, and Ross McCausland took his place on the left-hand side. So we go to see Bajrami at 10. I didn't see anything particularly brilliant or particularly bad from him. I don't think he really proved that he was going to be fantastically better than Tom Lawrence. But if we see him in a full Rangers team, maybe flowing a bit better and give the guy a chance to settle in. He has just moved from Italy. We could see much more from him, but Rangers did enough. They did more than enough to win the game. The big news, of course, there's 2 kind of other aspects of news, was 3, I suppose. Yanis Hagi being on the bench, it was a big moment. The manager saying he's not ready to come back, and it turned out he wasn't. So I don't know why he's brought him into the team right and then put him on the second half when he's already said this week that maybe he's trying to sell the opposition a dummy by making out that Hagi's not going to come into the team. But to say he's not ready and then bring him in, and Hagi goes in and gets himself sent off because he's so late, because he's so slow, because he's just not ready. It's a weird one anyway, and a pod in which I'm generally going to stick up for the manager. He was on the bench, but also the fact that Tav remained at right back, remained at captain. He started the game. I was worried about what that was going to mean the other night. If that was the official Tav send-off, I think a lot of us were hoping it was going to be the Tav send-off when he get brought off with half an hour to go in the game the other night. Something that never happens. But no, Tav started, and both our other right backs were on the bench. They remained on the bench. And Cerny with his miss from however many yards the other night, he's after having had quite a bad miss over in Malmo as well. His miss into an open net in the opening minutes of the game against Lyon the other night. Again, another one of those things that was it. That's why we get beat 4-1 because of that. Because Tav is too slow, jogging over to take corners and shies and stuff like that. That's another reason we get beat 4-1. There's all sorts of bogus but all-encompassing reasons being offered as to why we get pumped the other night by Lyon. But I felt as if the manager was going to take any of those on board, Cerny and Tav would have been dropped, and they were both in the starting 11 tonight. And Rangers, the first half hour, we were fine. We were absolutely fine. But the passing was a bit scratchy. We weren't quite getting it going. We had all the pressure. I don't think St Johnstone tested Jack Butland at all in the first half hour of the game. The only thing I was really kind of concerned with was a couple of things that caught my eye. Jack Butland in yellow. The Bobby Brown, I don't know if Bobby Brown made it famous. It was yellow must have been the traditional Rangers jersey, traditional Rangers goalie's jersey before Bobby Brown was in goals for us. But Bobby Brown was St Johnstone manager, before he became Scotland manager and went on to beat England, the world champions at Wembley in '67. But I think he did well at St Johnstone as manager, Bobby Brown. So that just kind of piqued. And I thought Alan McGregor, he played for St Johnstone as well. There's a wee link there. Sorry, that's the kind of stuff that was catching my attention. That's how desperate I was for anything to really entertain me. I don't know if it was just because I say the Sunday night vibe was making everything seem just a bit weird, a bit surreal. The folk that usually sit next to me obviously hadn't left my partner. All the seats around about me were empty. Lots of seen lots of familiar faces, but ones that I'd only seen passing because they're usually walking past me. And there's 2 or 3 folk between me and them in the old main stand. It was just a strange old atmosphere, and people not really able to get up for it because they've all got their, well, I know not everybody works Monday to Friday 95. It is not the 70s or 80s anymore, Alec, but it was still generally the vibe was folk had their work in the morning. And they really just wanted to get this out the way. They were only here because it was on the season ticket. Something else caught my eye. Oh yeah, it was when the subs come out. When the subs come out to warm up, they come out in tranches, the subs, to warm up. This is like the first half hour of the game when Rangers were going forward all the time, but Ross McCausland was kind of off it. He was going too quick or going too late. He was plenty of effort from young Ross on the left hand side there, finally back in his proper position. You would say, no, it's not. It's his left, the right hand side is better on. Sorry, it just wasn't working for him at all tonight. Ross McCausland that first half, but far from just his fault. Everybody was kind of. I thought Nico Raskin was great. He was getting ripped in. Time we saw a proper performance from him. I think he did all right in the Scottish Cup final, and that's probably the last time I saw him decent from Nico Raskin. We've really seen him at all really in the team, but he was doing okay. He was putting the tackles in. Diamandi seemed to be. It was a 4-2-3-1, which no, I think Liverpool played a 4-2. Liverpool. Arne Slot is kind of highly regarded. They played a 4-2-3-1 yesterday, and somebody tell me yesterday, tactics got nothing to do with it, and that is the point. Tactics have got everything to do with it. It's a massive part of football, especially the level of football we want to be playing at. It means everything. But people criticising the manager the other night for playing 4-2-3-1, for sticking with this system, the system was to blame and all that. And I think that the fact that 4-2-3-1 seems to be the system that he wants to play, it's not as if nobody else in the world who's playing at a level we would like to play at isn't using that system either. Anyway, I was quite happy with that. It looked at the 4-2-3-1, but Raskin was holding back, and it seemed to be Bajrami and Diamande going forward. It's a bit of a kind of Stroop effect, as it was with Diamande, with Dio having the 10 on the back of his jersey, actually playing number 10, so I can't help seeing him as a 10, and he has played 10 for us before. But he's bombing up all the time, and as is Bajrami, so I don't know if it was more like a 4-1-2, 4-1-2-3. Anyway, I don't know if the two of them are playing as kind of like the two number 8s really at times. They were definitely bombing on, but we were doing well. We had plenty of the ball. Dessers seemed particularly wooden tonight in his movement, but of course he's always thereabouts. He knows when to make runs. He knows how to rumble up opposition defenders at this level. And I saw the subs coming out in two different tranches, because they came out to warm up just down in front of me on the track in front of the main stand. And I think the first one, it was Hagi comes out, and there was Hagi, and it was there were a few other kind of attacking players, and then they came out, and it was the defenders. Mostly it was Kieran Dow and the defenders. Balogun, big Balogans there, and Cassan Weir Joe, and they're all applauding Dow, Cassan Weir Joe, but they're applauding the crowd taking the ovation, and then comes Big Dujon. He's just like, everybody's applauding him, and he's like, fuck, he's just ignored, just like getting in the zone. And I'm thinking, yeah, he's obviously been allocated Bomber Brown as a guidance counsellor at Auchenhowie, and I'm all for that. His attitude's absolutely fantastic. He just looks threatening. He just looks like he's ready to go. This Balogun just looks like he wants to come up and have a chat and all that, and you're thinking, I don't know if he should go in the park. He looks like he wants to be everybody's pal. And there's Dujon. Kieran Dow also just looks like he wants to come on and talk to you about trains, a bit like myself. But Big Dujon he just kind of oozes aggression, and I am all business. This game's got to get won or nothing counts. And so that was it. Until the ball comes to Cerny. Like Tav had put one past the right hand post at a free kick, just past. A lot of folk thought it was actually in the back of the net. Then he put one past the left hand post at another shot. He was taking the corners because he's accurate. Why is he taking all the corners? Because they're accurate. No, but I'd much rather somebody ran really quickly to take corners really badly. Tav goes over and he puts one on. In the first couple of minutes, he put one on Big John Souter's head, and he really should have done better. I thought Souter, it was a cracking corner. He's just very accurate with the ball, and he was doing a lot of running, helping Cerny into the game as well. And Vatslav, I think it was Diamande, gave him the ball 34 minutes. He cuts in from that right wing and curls one into the opposite corner of the net. An absolutely cracking goal. Tav, and the replays I saw up the screen, acting as a shield. That's basically a James Tavernier goal, really, when you think about it. But in it goes. That's us. 1-0 up, and we got a bit of a motor on it. It definitely lifted the players. I don't know if it was the first half hour. It was just us getting the tiredness of Thursday out the legs, and it was maybe later on, and we got a bit fresher as the game went on. So maybe the training that's been holding them back, the fitness that the manager's trying to put in the legs, it's going to start to kick in as we get later into the season. That old Man United thing, they started playing in properly in November, December. Because the pre-season was so brutal. I always envision that. I always imagine that's what's happening. Rangers start a season poorly, but we can't afford to start seasons poorly the way they happen, the way the Premiership is in Scotland. We can't afford to be dropping points at all, because it's just, we've got two teams above us on maximum points already. But out it went. After that, we scored that goal. We're 1-0 up, and it started motoring a wee bit. Bajrami was getting more involved, but it wasn't happening for Ross McCausland, really. Half time, substitutions, Ross goes off. And who else went off at half time? Who else went off at half time? Dio went off, who'd played the game the other night. So Diamande goes off at half time as well, running himself into the ground, I think. I love Mohamed Diamande. And Conor Barron, come on again. I was glad to see him. I was hoping he wasn't getting benched as punishment for his wee lateral pass, as Alan was calling it in the Jersey podcast, a shitty lateral pass, quoting the manager the other night. He was quite the manager on the Jersey podcast on Friday night. So it was good to see Conor Barron getting back in the team, and the place was going crazy for Yanis Hagi. Of course, I left at that point. I just left because I'm disgusted. We're letting a guy badmouth Rangers like that all summer. His representatives badmouthing Rangers, his dad badmouthing Rangers. No, I'm done, and the place was going absolutely crazy. There is nobody has obviously got any problem with Yanis Hagi and what he's done. I don't understand it because I do understand it actually, because Tav's the loser. Tav's to blame for everything. Every time you take a doing, it's all on Tav. He's the loser. We're sick of him because he, got us to a European final almost single-handedly, and won the league, won the cup, won the League Cup, scored the win in the League Cup final. So Tav's to blame for everything. But Yanis Hagi, he got injured that season against Stirling Albion in January, so that was him completely out the run to Seville. So he's great. It's the whole Rangers thing of when you're out the team, you're the best thing since sliced bread. You have to play a wee bit and get blamed for some stuff, and then you go out the team for a while and folks start thinking, no, he was great actually. So Yanis comes back in the night. He's an absolute hero. Gets a hero's welcome. Has a few nice touches at the beginning of the second half. He goes out on the left hand side in place of Ross McCausland. Still get Bajrami in the middle, and there's Conor Barron sitting next to Nico Raskin, although again not really sitting next to him at all because we're very mobile in the midfield area, and we're peppering the St Johnstone goal. Were we? I can't even remember, but I do know that it was it 54 minutes, 57 minutes, something like that, well before the hour anyway. Cerny again, who would he get bollocked for doing that thing of checking back, no pun intended, his name there, his nationality. It was a night for the former Warsaw Pact countries, or Czechoslovakia, it's now Czech Republic for Cerny, but a night for our Eastern Europeans to be taking plaudits that I don't think they properly earned, certainly in terms of Hagi. And as I say, I think Nico Raskin was actually man of the match, but I could make a really good case for giving it to Tav, who was doing everything tonight. But Vatslav Cerny, he get bollocked in much the same way he'd reacted to last week against Hibs for passing the ball backwards when we wanted him to take it and bomb on, and 2 seconds later he takes the ball again and he's just kind of shimmy and stop starting and basically just outfoxing the entire, outpacing then underpacing and just confusing the entire St Johnstone defence, whose two centre halves seem to be Desperate Dan and the guy who played Jaws, in the old James Bond films in the kind of 60s and 70s, the big fella with the teeth. Two massive centre halves they had, but Vatslav Cerny just kind of leaned into the ball and curled it again away into the far corner, and that was it, 2-0 to Rangers. Pretty much you thought that's it, game over. It was to all intents and purposes. Then again, the Tav thing just won't stop. The manager's doing something, he's making moves with Tav, but I think these moves are going to suit Tav and all supporters, guys like me who don't want to see Tav go or want to ensure that he goes to a hero's welcome or a hero's farewell, and folk who think he's the problem because he can't pick up the ball at the back post and stuff like that, when his whole job isn't actually defending anyway, but they want to get him out the right back area of the team altogether. On comes Big Cass and Gheorghe. A bit of a unity is quite excited about this chap that we got on loan for Feyenoord. And again, Tav, same as happened I think second half against Hibs last week, he moves up to right wing and everything's fine. We're going to get to see Tav. We've got this game under control. We're going to see Tav getting more action in the right hand side of midfield, and he's definitely getting involved. And then Igaman had come on as well for Dessers just before the hour mark, just after the goal actually, the second goal. Igaman comes on for Big Cyril, who always gets involved, does more than we realise, and has run himself into the ground already this season. We've just got a terrible record at keeping strikers fit. So Big Cyril has been taking the strain on that one. So he deserved his rest. Off he goes, and on comes young Hamza Igaman. And then, what time was it? It was about 10 minutes to go that Hagi, who'd already put in a few fouls, you're thinking, you can see he's a bit slow, but also had a few nice wee touches where Igaman wasn't actually ready for the ball that he played to him, so he then had to kind of try and redo the shot he was supposed to have had first time, our Moroccan striker. You thought, Hagi's just too good for you. He's just the feet. You never lose the yards on your head or whatever that expression is. But you could see that he was also, suffering from having played against the B teams of Huddersfield and Derby and Sheffield, all kind of Peak District related teams. But he wasn't far from back at peak fitness. Sensational! That's just sensational. You are going to get on off the ball or that one that's on BBC One that Friday night with the 55-year-old hipsters. That's kind of brilliant part. He wasn't fit. He just clearly wasn't match fitness. The manager had said that. The manager had said that early in the week. Once the contract thing was resolved, the pre-match presser for the Lyon game, he said that don't expect to see him back in the team. He's not ready yet, or something words to those effects. And then there he was tonight. I was surprised to see him in the squad. I was even more surprised to see him come on in the second half, and I wasn't in any way surprised to see him getting sent off. It quickly flashed. I need to see it back on telly, as they say. I'm taking the fifth and all that kind of stuff. But for where I'm sitting, it was definitely a foul. It was definitely a booking. And then they flashed up on the screen briefly. The Premier Sports footage of his footage on the fella's shin. It looked like it was just for a second, and I thought, that doesn't look good. That looks like stud-on shin contact there. So. It could be talking complete garbage. It could be the softest sending off of all time. It's an absolute disgrace. But I just start taking a wait and see what happened. The referee goes to the screen. There's tension, but there's not really tension because you know what's going to happen. The red card comes out. The yellow card is rescinded in favour of a red. Off goes Giannis. We moved. I think we immediately got Dujon Sterling come on, and he went over to the right hand side, and we took off over the left hand side, and we took off Bajrami, who I don't think was particularly brilliant tonight, but he was seen as a kind of he immediately became the kind of excessive, the kind of extra that we couldn't really afford. So bit of singing going up there, good stuff. Atmosphere going at 11:15. But Bajrami went off anyway, and we seemed to go to basically 4-2-3. We just cut out the one, Igaman coming back, and Tav's out there on the right hand side, and Big Dujon on the left hand side. And we had straight away, St Johnstone had the ball in the back of the net as we're getting back into our new shape. They had the ball in the back of the net, up the other end of the park from me, up at the Broomlin. The flag went up straight away. They checked it. Offside. I don't know how tight that was or whatever, but that was a wee bit of a worry when you can't actually see. You don't have any kind of judgment yourself of how offside it was. That was resolved. Jack Bolton had one good save to make, a proper save, maybe the only save he made in the whole game. And then he came out and he cleared out that thing all goalkeepers love to do. I remember the guys doing this to me when I used to play pub league stuff. Just like goalies, any chance at all to come out the box, and it's a 50-50 ball. They always get the ball first, despite no playing fit. But it's a diving header from Jack Bolton tonight to clear this ball. But he's just the thing they always want to do is just clear you out. They just want to clean you out, and he totally wiped this fella out. I thought it was going to be a second red for us, but no. It must have been absolutely fine. So that was Jack Butland's making his bid for captain. His best fighter kind of attempt to take over leadership group. But that was it. That was the game pretty much done and dusted. Casanvirjo had a shot in towards the top corner. Igaman again struggling to get involved a lot of the time. But I was thinking I feel better about him tonight. And then right at the end he went and basically won a corner out of nothing off one of the colossal centre halves for St Johnstone. And I thought he's getting there. You can definitely see he's getting a bit fitter. He's getting a bit sharper despite looking rather chubby and short-legged. Looking like myself after a few fish suppers, what have you. But he's nothing like myself. Sorry, that is a real insult. He can move. You could a few bursts of speed from him tonight, and he's in a harder workout than he was expecting. Where Rangers getting down to 10 men pretty soon after he come on. So, all in all, it's a cracking win. It's a very routine win, a very routine result. Nobody's going to be. Anybody who's dead set against the manager and thinks everyone's a disaster just now, that's not going to convince them otherwise. But we are straight back onto the clean sheets, and that is the thing for me. I just want to see that we can react again. Losing 3-0 at Parkhead, losing by 3 goals to Lyon, but we're coming back from then with clean sheets and victories. Again, we'd victories. We beat Ross County 6-0. Celtic beat St Johnstone 6-0 last week, but Celtic have only beat Ross County 2-1 the day. Celtic losing by 6 goals themselves in Europe during the week, and a lot of slagging for the formation. Why does the manager keep sticking with this 4-2-3-1? I feel as if I'm guessing as much as everybody else, But the man has said from the word go, he keeps using this phrase, automatisms. This expression, automatisms. He wants automatisms, and that is basically all you can do as a football team who's not going to have the level of money coming into us unless we get some really dodgy investment, politically or otherwise. And yet we need to be performing brilliantly, 100% record really we need domestically, and then to be kind of outdoing our surroundings when it comes to European football. The only thing you can do is create something that makes what's that old expression, the whole, the the sum of the parts is less than what you get for the whole, or something. Basically, overperform. We need to overachieve, and it's all about having the players so well trained, so familiar with each other, so familiar with the system, therefore, that they're going to be able to do, kind of do stuff in their sleep almost. And that's the way we take on bigger. We would take on bigger, wealthier clubs when it comes to the European scene, and the way we catch up with Celtic, who are wealthier than us just now. So I feel when the manager just goes out and keeps pounding away with 4-2-3-1, 4-2-3-1, it's because it's all about getting the players used to. I'm going to actually use it's Paul Lambert here. I'm going to use an anecdote that I always remember. It's not just because Celtic. I mean, it's Paul Lambert when he was at Dortmund, so I'm doing Celtic in Dortmund. So there you go. I'm actually, that will remind you of them getting beat 7-1 the other night. It's a good anecdote, but it's all about when he was playing with Dortmund, and it's big Jurgen Kohler, big Ironfoot, who scored for Rangers, maybe scored the own goal for Dortmund here. We've been out in that, and eventually that tie on penalties, but that was a good night. The 25 pass game, and that the other goal was scored by Jurgen Kohler, an own goal. We beat Dortmund 2-0 that night under Dick Advocaat in the UEFA Cup, but it was in the Champions League days when Paul Lambert was on his way to win the Champions League with Dortmund. And he talked about, I think somebody must have been interviewing him and asking him about the attitude, and it's an attitude I love. This is what the thing. I'm a lazy bampot in life. I just fly by the seat of my pants. So whether SGs are out working hard and applying themselves all the time, so you come the weekend, you want to see lovely, entertaining flair football. I'm the other way about. I'm all flair, let's put it that way, during the week. At the weekend, I want to see industrious, disciplined, hard-working football that's just guaranteed to get you a result. I don't want any risk at all with my football, because my life's risky enough. And it stuck in my mind because he talked about, I think it was against Legia Warsaw. I've got in my mind it was Legia Warsaw. Dortmund had been playing in the Champions League, and Paul Lambert was telling some British journalist about how they'd been like 3-1 or 4-1 up with 2 or 3 minutes to go. The game was done. And he thought to himself, he was used as a deep line midfielder with Dortmund. And he's like, I'm going to venture forward and try and see if I can get myself a goal. I never scored for Dortmund. I'm going to just move up the park. And he got bollocked by Kohler, Jurgen Kohler, who would probably be captain, maybe captain that game, but he's certainly, one of the biggest guys in the team anyway. He's a centre half or a stopper. And then he says, no way. So he just thought, that's his problem. So he come back and just kept playing. Don't you stray out your position. And then he get bollocked by him all the way off the park into the tunnel. And then he get bollocked by him in the dressing room as well for having strayed once from his position. And he's thinking, what the hell's the problem here? What is the problem? And nobody was objecting. Nobody was objecting. In fact, I think the manager, Otmar Hitzfeld, was just joining in and telling him it's because every time you do your job, every time you... The game that we're playing might have been won, but if you stay in your area and keep doing your job as often as you possibly can, you will get better at it. If you stray forward, even when a game you're 3 or 4-1 up, and there's only 2 minutes on the clock, and you stray forward thinking I'm going to get myself a goal, that's not your job. Therefore, you're actually avoiding practice, game practice at your job. It's the 10,000 hours. You've all heard that thing. If you want to do it, well, you've got to do it. Practice for 10,000 hours. At any skill that you want to improve on. It's a variation on that, and I think that's what the manager's doing. We're all folk are talking about the other night about how when we go 4-1 down, why don't we just bring on the young boys? So obviously you're quite willing, let's bring on some academy players and what have you when we're 4-1 down to Leon because the game's done anyway. Well, you're going to get beat 6 or 7-1, which I think is humiliating. But that attitude's there, and I can understand it as well. Let's get guys. That's what the manager's doing with the whole fucking team, as far as I'm concerned. The entire first team, he's trying to get the automatisms going. He's trying to get his first team on the park all the time, and he's trying to bleed players into the team in a really, strange ways at times. But he's trying to get a team that has been completely reset over the summer. He's breaking it down. It's like stripping a car down, so the car is going slowly. At times, the performance is going to go backwards before it can go forwards. He's quite willing to maybe give up 6 months to a whole season. I think that's all the messages that have been coming out of the boardroom when anybody from the boardroom does talk to us, and from the manager himself, who has been a mouthpiece for the boardroom this season. John Gilligan acknowledged that. Have been basically telling us, write this season off. This is all about a rebuild. This is all about a rebuild, a structural rebuild. And it's like we're going to have a bad 6 months so we can, in order to get a good 6 years. We're going to have a bad season in order to get like a dynasty in there. We're going to get the foundations in. And I don't know if it's just me, because I was never, I went to a non-dom school. maybe it's because I wasn't raised in any particular religion or that, or maybe I feel sensitive to the fact that I'm not a Protestant here, I'm supporting Rangers. Maybe I'm one of the folk who's trying too hard to prove I'm going to be an uber Protestant. And my attitude to things, it's the Protestant work ethic. I cannot see how Rangers go from what we are just now, financially, infrastructurally, recent history, 2012 included in that, to being a team who retains league titles in Scotland and exceeds in Europe without some pain. No, without earning it, without having to go a wee bit backwards, to get the one step backwards, but 4 or 5 steps forward. There has to be pain, it has to be earned. And I think if the manager can do that by getting gubbed off Celtic, who on paper take away all the fact that we don't particularly like Celtic here. It's the last team in the world that we want to lose to, but it's actually the team it's least disgraceful for us to lose to. If you understand what I mean, in objective terms, it's if we can't beat St Johnstone, and that's twice we've beaten them this season without conceding a goal. If we can't beat Ross County, who we pasted 6-0, if we can't beat Motherwell, who we beat 2-1, churning get a crack on that game, that's the real disgrace. That's the stuff that we really need to be worried about. And I think the European games, you will play. You will go there and you will play that way so that new players come in. There has to be something that is focused and is central and is consistent at a time of real flux for the club. Flux that we wanted. People wanted rid of these losers. We wanted rid of, John Lundstrom and Morelos, Ryan Kent. We wanted, Alan McGregor. We're rid of all these players. We got rid of them all. It's only James Tavernier that's left, and Yanis Hagi, who's kind of was out for a year and come back against St Johnstone. Then he's been away for a season and he's been in dispute with the club, and here he is. He's back against St Johnstone and gets sent off this time. It's always St Johnstone who makes his comeback, but we've got rid of them all. So there has to be something that's left behind. There has to be something that's consistent, and it's a manager who, at a press conference the other week, was asked, do you, I know there's been talk in the papers you maybe don't want to talk about. He's like, no, ask me. Ask me about the Anderlecht job. Ask me about the chances of me leaving Rangers so I can tell you, no, I am going nowhere. I believed them. And I think the extra year he was given in his contract was the club saying, we appreciate what you did for us during the summer, being spokesman basically. And I think Alan made a good point. We was talking to Brian the other night in the Jersnet podcast on Friday night. He was saying maybe something's happened and the manager he's not been given the investment that he wanted. He's not been given the money for players. We've not got a CEO. We've not got an academy director of football. Why would he want to be here? Well, we'll give you an extension to your contract because we know that you actually like it, and he wants this project. That's what he seems to talk about. He's wanting the rebuild. That's what he's focused on. So we go 4-2-3-1. You will play 4-2-3-1, and you will get better at 4-2-3-1, even if Leon are pumping you. It's 10,000 hours. You're going to keep playing that, and I think he's the one guy that will be. So when players come in, when new players come in at the club, or players get brought through for the B team or whatever, the system is the one thing that's set. There's as many players around them as possible who have the automatisms going until this kind of stuff becomes second nature. Aye, that's us. That's my wee rant there. It's just as invalid as everybody else's, or as valid as everybody else's. But we're off now for an international break. You get 2 weeks away from our painful patter, folks. Thanks very much to everybody who's been supporting the pod recently, and the feedback I get. And that it means the world, trips. It really does. It's really lovely. And the main thing is just keep supporting the team. Honestly. I'm just so open-minded. I'm just so aware of myself. I'm just so kind of progressive that I can think to myself, I might be wrong. I might. I'm not too scared to admit that I might actually be wrong in every single thing that I think about Rangers, and that I think about the way the club's going just now, and that I think about Philip Clement. But when we come back, it will be, he's been here for a year, and maybe I just want to get us past that point. We keep talking about this movie. Sorry, I've just thought of something else I was meaning to say. We keep talking about this movie. It's the same. We've seen this movie before. What worries me though is that when we get to this point, it gets to October, and the manager goes because things aren't happening. I think the things that Michael Beale went because he got gubbed 3-1 at home by a shit Aberdeen team who were going through their own troubles. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst went because he was drawn with St Johnstone or getting beat at St Johnstone and drawn at St Mirren, and the team were falling to bits. I don't see getting beat 4-1 at home by Leon as falling to bits. And maybe we're not scoring the amount of goals or being as scintillating as we want to be against the lesser lights in the league. And maybe we go up to Pittodrie and we get beat up there, and it is time for the manager to go. But if we don't want to keep seeing this movie, this same old movie that we've seen for the last 3 years. Who are the main characters in this movie? Everybody, as I say, is left. The players are leaving. It's only Tav and Hagi that are still here from like a few years ago. It's the boardroom. Okay, we've actually changed the board a few years ago. We brought in the 3 bears, the 4 bears, all that kind of stuff. But Bisgrove's away. John Gilligan's just stepped in as interim after John Bennett going away. Stuart Robertson went. We've got new CEOs and we don't have a CEO. The players are changing. The manager, as we know, is constantly changing, has been for the last 4 years. It's just us. It's just us. We're the constant. We, in this bloody beautiful stadium of ours that we finally get back into, the players have just got back into. They've just got back into their home stadium. A lot of them never played at it before as Rangers players. There's a lot for us to be getting used to, and I think us holding the line in domestic terms and in European terms. We've got 3 points on the board from 2 really difficult games in our Europa League schedule. I think they're actually doing quite well, but it's us. The way to change the movie is stop sacking the manager in October. Fuck it, might as well. Do you know what I mean? Just might as well. And this guy has done enough so far to justify certainly not being sacked. And I think we should get on board with his project and see where it goes. We lose at Pittodrie or whatever, or we lose before then. We've got St Mirren at home or whatever. We've got FCSB, Stoy Bucharest coming here in the Europa League. Right, if we make an ass of ourselves in these games, away to Kilmarnock at Rugby Park when we come back in a couple of weeks, then the criticism will be deserved, and we'll see what happens then. But I think the main thing is we're the protagonist, we're the main character that's here, and we've got to do something, I feel, to change this movie, give it a real proper go. And I think at the moment it's stick by this manager. That's enough for me, folks. 2 weeks' time. Make sure to go and watch your national team and tell Steve Clarke he's just a wanker, nothing more than that. And I like wankers.